welcome to Kogi in Focus, a weekly program that brings searchlight on happenings in and around the Nigeria conflict state, Kogi. I am Khadijat Mohammed. In today's edition, Kogi INEC set to resume continuous voter registration. Kogi government reacts to US government visa ban on electoral offenders during elections. And flood ravaged over 70 communities, displaced over 50,000 people in Kogi State. This and more after this break. Don't go away. Welcome back. The Independent National Electoral Commission INEC says it will soon resume its continuous voter registration exercise aborted a few months ago due to the outbreak of COVID-19. Professor James Apam, Kogi State Resident Electoral Commissioner, made this known in Onyedega, Ibaji local government area of the state. Apam, who was addressing stakeholders in preparation for the coming by-election in the local government, blamed the inability of the commission to register Nigerians of voting age in the area on the pandemic. He assured that the commission will resume the exercise next year and appealed to those who will not be able to vote in the by-election to show understanding and bear with the commission. He said that the by-election was necessitated by the sudden death of John Abba, who was representing the council in the State House of Assembly sometime in June. He said that the by-election to fill the vacant seat would hold along with others nationwide on October 31st, asking the people of the area to get ready to participate fully. He said unlike previous elections, the schedule for the election will be 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., adding that it will hold strictly under the guidelines stipulated to curb the spread of coronavirus. Accordingly, he said that INEC will provide water, hand sanitizers, methylated spirits, and infrared thermometers at all the 148 polling units where the election will hold. He said that similar arrangements will also be in place at all the collation centers. Apam further explained that voters, electoral officials, and security agents will be made to put on face masks during the election, appealing to parties and candidates to also spread the message to their members and followers. He said that 10 political parties, including the APC, PDP, ADC, Labour Party, SDP, ACP, AA, AAC, and Accord Party, had indicated their interest to participate in the election. The REC further disclosed that 78,575 voters would participate in the election, while arrangements were being made to organize training for the ad hoc personnel and the commission staff members that will conduct the election. He appealed to leaders of political parties, candidates, and other stakeholders to allow peace to reign before, during, and after the election. The commissioner promised that enough logistics will be provided to ensure a violence-free and successful election. Also speaking is the Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of operations in the state, Marvelous Okoriobe. He warned candidates to avoid the use of hate and provocative statements during their campaigns. He assured that the police will provide enough personnel in all the nooks and crannies of the local government throughout the election period. Stakeholders who spoke at the meeting expressed fear that flooding might impact the conduct of the election negatively. They appeal to INEC to deploy enough logistics and provide for the welfare of the National Youth Service Corps members that will serve as ad hoc staff. The stakeholders also demanded free and fair election and called on the police to provide security before and after the election. The meeting was attended by political parties, candidates, traditional rulers, security agencies, observers, and religious groups. Ahead of the forthcoming Kogi Council polls, the Kogi State chapter of the All Progressive Congress APC says is yet to fix the cost of the nomination form for chairmanship and councillorship aspirants. The state chairman of the APC, Abdullahi Bello, made the clarification against the backdrop of online reports making the rounds that aspirants seeking to contest for the chairmanship position will purchase the form at the cost of 1.1 million naira, while those seeking to contest for councillorship position, the report alleged, will purchase the forms for 550,000 naira. But in a swift reaction, the APC state chairman said no decision has been reached yet on the cost of forms. Bello made the disclosure in a chat with newsmen, saying the party would hold its state working committee where decisions will be taken on cost. He urged the party members to disregard the information, saying the report is aimed at discrediting the grassroots appeal of the party in the state. The Kogi State Council poll will hold on the 12th of December 2020. The Kogi State chapter of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) has fixed the cost of its nomination form for the forthcoming council election. The party, in a statement signed by Bode Ogunmola, State Publicity Secretary, said the cost of the form for chairmanship is 100,000 naira, while the expression of the interest form goes for 10,000 naira. Similarly, the cost of councillorship form is 20,000 naira for their forms, while 5,000 naira is for expression of interest. The PDP says the party is committed to winning all seats in the election, described Kogi State as a PDP state. The United States government says it has imposed a visa restriction on some individuals for their actions during the November 2019 Kogi and Bayelsa state elections and in the run-up to the September and October 2020 Edo and Ondo state elections. Although elections have not yet been held in Edo and Ondo states, the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, imposed the visa restriction on these individuals due to their conduct in the run-up to the poll. This is according to a statement signed by the spokesperson for the Department of State, Morgan Otagos, on Monday. Kogi State government has written a letter of protest to the ambassador of the United States of America over the alleged visa restriction on armed persons and inclusion of Kogi State among states that allegedly compromised the 2019 election. In a letter signed by the secretary to the state government, Folashade Arike Ayoade, and made available to journalists in LOKOJA, the state capital, says government views the position of the U.S. Embassy as inappropriate. The statement reads, Kogi State government find the position of the U.S. Embassy unacceptable and protest the presumption of the embassy on the matter, which it did not name any individual but make statements that put the state in bad light. According to the statement, the list that should have been done by the U.S. government, if indeed it was about democracy and human rights as claimed, was to create a room, no matter how slim, for a fair hearing of the state government. Folashade in the letter further stressed that, in line with the Nigerian law, the few political parties and individuals who alleged widespread electoral malpractices had free rein to contest the outcomes in court, which they did, and the law took its position on them at appropriate times, up to the apex court of the land. Kogi State government noted that the partisan speculation as to who is indicted, who is not, and for what has become cudgels, furiously swung in the media space by all comers who take advantage of the statement to give the state unprintable names. The state government described the statement by the U.S. Embassy as an added abundant grist to the rumor mills and has electrified the merchants of fake news which the Nigerian government is fighting. It was the view of the state, according to the letter addressed to the U.S. government, that Kogi State concern is not the prerogative of the United States of America to impose entry restriction on anyone for any or no reason at all, but the room for atrocious misinformation which the timing of the press statement and the mention of the Kogi elections therein has created in the state. While it is not challenging the U.S. visa ban in any way, whoever they may affect and for how long, the state government registered the strongest protest possible to the collateral and unwarranted interference in the political and social processes which it represents. The letter concludes that despite the commanding heights the United States of America has reached and her much longer experience as the acclaimed bastion of democracy in the world, it's still locked in a fight to defend the integrity of our own electoral processes. The statement therefore urged the U.S. to accord greater empathy, more civility, and much less disruption to nonsense democracies. Flood from River Niger have submerged over 70 communities and displaced over 50,000 people from their houses in different parts of Kogi State. Residents of some of the communities who spoke in LOKOJA on the sidelines of a stakeholder sensitization advocacy meeting in 2020 flood that the flood had wreaked havoc in the affected areas. They said the communities have been experiencing massive flooding in the last 5 days. The one-day meeting was organized by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, in partnership with the Kogi State Emergency Management Agency, KOSEMA. One of the residents, Ibrahim Abdullahi, who is also the desk officer in charge of ecological and emergency matters in Kogi Local Government Council, said that 66 communities had been submerged by flood in the area. Abdullahi said that over 50,000 people had been forced to evacuate their houses and were now being accommodated in schools, filling stations, and other makeshift buildings. He said that some of the victims in Edeha and Kotokorfi communities had been sleeping on roads and other open places, cohabiting with mosquitoes and dangerous reptiles. He said that schools had been closed as they had been converted to temporary camps for the victims, calling for urgent intervention from the state government and the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. The desk officer said that the victims had lost their means of livelihood to the flood, as their farms and livestock were also washed away by the rampaging floods. Similarly, the chairman of the flood committee in Ibaji local government area, Omonu James, said that floods had sacked thousands of residents from their houses in the area. James said that the problem of the victims were compounded by the area's terrain, as it had no upland for them to relocate to. Accordingly, he said that all the 26 schools in the council have been converted to camps for the displaced persons, but said that the camps lacked basic facilities. He said that one death, that of 17-year-old Michael Eguaba, had been recorded since the flood started, but that the number could rise if urgent measures were not put in place to mitigate the effect of the disaster on the people. In LOKOJA metropolis, many residents living along the bank of River Niger and other flood paths have been forced out of their houses by the floods. The situation is said to be very grim in the suburb communities of Ega, Konami, Buzi, Ebua, Even, Langa, and Buje, where residents have been forced to relocate to the neighboring Niger state. They appeal to the government to quickly come to the aid of the displaced persons, especially in the area of provision of water, drugs, blankets, and mosquito nets to the victims. Deputy Governor Edward Onoja, who declared open the meeting, said that substantial amounts of money had been released to purchase drugs, food, and other relief materials for the victims. He also directed that 21,000 youths recently engaged under the federal government's Public Works program be deployed to help in the rescue operation. He said that maximum security will be provided for the personnel involved in search and rescue operation, promising that more succor will be provided for the victims. The NEMA director in charge of training, Mohammed Usman, said that incessant flooding had become a serious threat to the country's efforts at becoming self-sufficient in food production. Usman said 9 local government areas in Kogi were among the 102 in the country that have been identified as highly probable risk areas for flooding in 2020. He called on the state governments to urgently take preventive and mitigative measures to reduce the impact of the flood on people and the economy of the state. He said that NEMA would also, in line with the federal government's directive, assist the victims to find their feet and go back to farms as soon as possible. Stakeholders at the meeting include the Red Cross, Navy, Civil Defense, Police, NINET, Fire Services, and the media all expressed their readiness to make their services available to the government. The Navy, Marine Police, Civil Defense, Red Cross, and the Fire Services assured that they had enough men and equipment on ground to confront the disaster. Julius Mijayan, Executive Secretary KOSEMA, said that highlands had been identified and camps established across the 9 local government areas prone to the disaster. He listed the council's areas as Basa, LOKOJA, Kogi, Omala, Ida, Ibaji, Dekina, Ofu, and Igalamela, warning that residents must be ready to move at any time from now. The Kogi state government says it is set to recruit additional 700 health professionals to help to sustain its health coverage in the state. The Commissioner of Health, Dr. Saka Abdul Haruna, made the disclosure while flagging off the Nursing Now campaign in LOKOJA, the state capital. He said that the state government has put in place committee tagged Interprofessionals Association Committee to resolve disputes among various health bodies in the state. Saka noted that the crisis rocking health bodies, if not amiably settled, would affect government's effort to deliver effective and efficient health services to the populace. He described the nursing profession as unique and noble, as their services to humanity cannot be quantified, stressing that government was working out modalities to resolve the disputes that led to the closure of the Federal Medical Center, LOKOJA. In his message, the Speaker of Kogi State House of Assembly, Matthew Kolawole, assured that the House will collaborate with the ministry by making law that will help to weed out quack practitioners in the state. The Speaker, who was represented by the Chairman, House Committee on Health, and member representing LOKOJA 1 constituency, Issa Tenimo, commended nurses for their efforts in saving the lives of the citizens. Health workers under the aegis of the Joint Action Congress, Federal Medical Center LOKOJA chapter, suspended their 3-month-old industrial action embarked upon to press home their demands. In a press statement by the union after emerging from a meeting with the management of the hospital, Jack said it suspended the strike after the show of commitment by the hospital management to guarantee and ensure the safety of lives and property of the workers, among other demands. According to the statement, this decision is premised on the compliance to our request to guarantee safety of lives and properties, among other things that was threatened as a result of attack by unknown hoodlums on the FMC LOKOJA and a staff dated 1st of July 2020. It, however, disclosed that the tertiary health institution will resume full services from Wednesday, 23rd of September 2020. The statement, jointly signed by the various unions and professional associations, thanked the Minister of Health, Kogi State Government, State House of Assembly, FMC LOKOJA Board and security agencies for their intervention and the people of the state for their understanding. Governor Yahaya Bello of Kogi State has approved the appointment of Wosilat Owuda as a substantive director for Kogi State Council for Arts and Culture. She succeeded Director, Admin and Finance, Peter Odekina, who was just retired. In a letter signed by the head of Civil Service, Deborah Ogumola, the appointment is in line with the law establishing Kogi State Council for Arts and Culture. She was charged to bring to bear the wealth and experience of professional expertise on the new responsibilities. In separate remarks at the management meeting of the council, members expressed profound gratitude to Yahaya Bello and head of civil service, Deborah Ogumola, for doing justice to the status quo and the prayer of the entire members of staff of the council for professional leadership and career progression. The appointment is regarded and celebrated as the dawn of a new era. While congratulating Owuda, she was urged to be firm, fair, diligent and disciplined in piloting the affair of the council. Wosilat Owuda thanked the governor and the head of civil service for the confidence reposed in her. She promised to do the needful with the support and cooperation of the entire staff of the council. Until her appointment, she was the Director, Department of Research and Documentation, Kogi State Council for Arts and Culture. In line with vision and mission of Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello to bring more developments to the state and consolidate on human capital projects, Kogi Investment and Properties Limited has entered into a partnership with an Abuja-based construction company towards building a befitting housing estate and shopping malls in LOKOJA, the state capital. The CEO and MD of Kogi Investment and Properties Limited, Aishat Suleiman, recently hosted the investors of the management of the construction company, expressed her commitment in ensuring proper utilization of her office to influence more investors to complement the state government's efforts on the developmental footprint and job creation. She stated that when the project is completed, it will create more employment for the citizens, generate more opportunities, beautify the state capital, and also increase the state internally generated revenue. The CEO of Dream Concept Limited, Ismail Zubair, who spoke on behalf of the company delegation, presented the sketches on how the smart homes will look like before and after completion, and further expressed their willingness to execute the project at an accelerated rate. If you are just joining us, this is Kogi in Focus, the weekly program that provides you the opportunity to hear happenings in the last 7 days in the state. For your advert placement, contribution, and eyewitness report, please call the number or reach us via any of our social media handle displayed on your screen. Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello has assured the Federal University LOKOJA Governing Council of his administration's continued support to secure lives and properties even as they move to the appointment site in Felele. Governor Bello, who gave the assurance during a courtesy visit of the University Governing Council members to the Government House LOKOJA, promised a swift response to their demands.
We will continue to ensure that there is security of lives and properties, both within the campus and outside the campus. 19
Governing Council members of the Federal University LOKOJA, comprising of external and internal members, were present to appreciate the governor's commitment to the university in terms of the provision of land they occupied, the security of lives and properties. The Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of the Governing Council, Senator Chris Ihanyichukwu Adigije, thanked the state government for its support since the establishment of the school, request for the release of a certificate of occupancy to the university for the land allocated to the institution at the Felele campus along LOKOJA Okene Road to enable them to secure the commitments of other donors to the university.
We request Your Excellency to assist the institution in paying for the compensation. I know that is probably not fun, but I have to my request. In paying for the compensation due to the community whose vast land was donated to the university by the Kogi State government. Again, we request the Kogi State government to assist the university in fencing the Felele campus. And finally, we request Your Excellency to assist the university in the provision of some number of dedicated transport buses that will help to convey students to and from the new campus site in order to ease the problems of movement from the Agakolo campus.
He also requested the community whose vast land was donated to the university by the government to be compensated. Adigije also seek government support to provide transport buses that will help to convey students to and from the university. He used the opportunity to console the governor and the people of Kogi State on the tragic incident of a petrol tanker explosion that claims life. Vice Chancellor Professor Angela Mary Freeman also commended the governor for his support at all times. Kogi Governor Bello promised the request for a certificate of occupancy shall be released to the council in no distant time and other requests will be looked into.
I will, under my power, ensure that the C of O is signed and given to the university as soon as possible by the grace of God. We look forward to a more robust and engaging relationship with you as you take this onerous task of superintending over the academia. On behalf of the government and the people of Kogi State, we are appealing that local content should be looked into, should be considered very important in selecting who takes over from Professor Miri moving forward.
He described Professor Angela's leadership style as outstanding. Governor Bello's wishes her the best in her future endeavors. The Pro-Chancellor has earlier said the present Vice-Chancellor, Professor Angela Mary Freeman, will be rounding up her tenure in February 2021. Present at the event are top government functionaries and members of the university. Disc Jockey Association of Nigeria, Dijan, has elected Ebenezer Otohinoi Daudu to pilot the affairs of the Kogi State chapter for another 3 years. The election was held in the Radio Kogi Hall on the 26th of September 2020. The Dijan National President, Tade Adeyemi, advised contestants to play the game by the rule.
This is our own profession. We are DJs. Let's take it with our own hands.
He urged the winner to carry along the contestants in order to build a successful and united Dijan in the state.
I'm wishing them the very best. You know, Kogi state executives have been having one issue or the other, but this is the first time they are going to have a real election. And you know, I'm so happy because many of the members have now keyed into the Dijan movement that look, we want this thing to work. So definitely, I know that in the next 6 months to 1 year, I know that they will be up there, you know, up and running.
He described the election as transparent, fair, and credible. Ebenezer Otohinoi, also known as DJ Overheat, won with 36 votes to defeat his opponent Emmanuel Apam, also known as DJ Slammy with 17 votes. Other members of the association were also elected. DJ Overheat in his victory speech promised an upliftment of the association in the state.
We want to move Dijan to the level that they will be able to have equipment. Especially, we want to patronize some of our electronic shops that they can be an assistance to Dijan in Kogi State. As far you are a member of Dijan, you can be taking a loan to buy equipment. And at the same time, some of us that are not registered, we see the way we can bring them in and register them. And the other side, we have people from the local government. We want to bring them together so that all of us will be one body.
Emmanuel Apam, also known as DJ Slammy J, conceded defeat and promised to work with the elected officials to see to the development of Dijan in the state. Zonal Coordinator Dijan, Emmanuel Benny, also known as DJ Benny G, expressed satisfaction with the conduct of the election and expects the new leaders to bring a positive change to Dijan in Kogi State. The PMAN national president was represented by the vice, Baba Ojonugwa. The election witnessed DJs from the 21 local government areas of the state, including the zonal coordinator, DJ Benny, and Performing Musician Employers Association of Nigeria. Egume community in Dekina Local Government Council of Kogi State was invaded by unknown gunmen at Royal Garden Relaxation Spot along Anyimba and Pa Highway, killing 1 man, kidnapped 3 persons. According to an eyewitness account, the incident happened on Thursday night. The gunmen stormed the open area of the Royal Garden where people were relaxing and started shooting sporadically as customers scampered for safety in different directions. It was gathered that the deceased was struggling to escape before he was shot dead, while one of his friends who was sharing the same table with them also received a gunshot and now receiving medical attention in one of the hospitals in the area. It was reliably gathered that the hotel manager, 18-month-old baby, and 2 other persons were among those whisked away to unknown destination by the kidnappers. Security sources disclosed further that the incident, which happened about 8:30 p.m. in the evening, left one Anthony Monday, a cashew dealer from Ate-Iji, Anyimba, dead, while the lucky ones took to their heels for cover. Before the arrival of policemen at the scene of the incident, the sources said the kidnappers had left the hotel with the victims, leaving late Anthony Monday dead in his pool of blood. Barely 12 hours of the incident, it was gathered that the kidnappers started demanding for ransom as the toddler who was kidnapped along with them was allegedly giving them tough time and sleepless nights with continuous crying. Reacting to the incident, the national president of Egume Ome Descendant Union, Mohammed Lawal Ibrahim, expressed shock over the ugly incident and appealed to policemen to ensure that perpetrators are apprehended and punished accordingly to serve as deterrent to others. Ibrahim therefore enjoined the people of Egume to remain calm and go about their normal businesses as efforts are being put in place by the law enforcement agents to protect life and property in the community. Confirming the incident, the Commissioner of Police Kogi State Command, Ede Ayuba Epeji, said he received a report from Egume Division that 3 unknown armed men attacked Royal Garden Relaxation Spot, shooting sporadically. Immediately, the DPO mobilized operatives to the scene where he met one yet-to-be-identified body lying in his pool of blood. He said his men have moved the body to the hospital where he was confirmed dead. the body was deposited at the hospital for autopsy. He advised members of the public to sharpen their power of observation and always report promptly any suspicious movements, objects, as well as activities of criminal elements within their neighborhood to the police or any security agencies in the state. The commissioner, who reiterated the command's commitment to guarantee security of lives and property in the state, disclosed that he has deployed a team of operatives to hunt for the hoodlums and to ensure they are arrested and made to face the full wrath of the law. The police in Ogun State have arrested 4 men in connection with the death of a policeman, Constable Agada Ako, who was beaten to death in Dalemo area of Sango Ota on September 13, 2020. The spokesman of the Ogun State Police Command, Abimbola Oyeyemi, stated this in a statement. Oyeyemi said the all-male suspects, Jelili Ismaila, Amidu Bankole, Elijah Samson, and Moses Proboye were apprehended following information received by the police at Sango Division at about 9:30 p.m. that a policeman has been beaten to coma by some hoodlums at Dalemo bus stop. Following the information, the divisional police officer CSP Godwin Idehai quickly led his men to the scene where he met the policeman in the pool of his own blood. The officer was quickly rushed to the General Hospital Ota for medical care but gave up the ghost while receiving treatment. Preliminary investigation revealed that the deceased officer and 1 other escorted their principal from Ida in Kogi State to Lagos State. While passing through Sango Ota, a truck driver, Jelili Ismaila, allegedly drove dangerously and almost pushed their vehicle off-road. While trying not to hit the vehicle conveying the officers, the truck entered a pothole, as a result of which its tires got punctured. This made the 2 policemen to come down and caution the truck driver to always be mindful of other road users. But the driver accused them of being at fault and mobilized hoodlums who attacked them and their principal with dangerous weapons, beating the deceased to coma. Having realized that the policeman may not survive the attack, the driver and his hired hoodlums took to their heels, but luck ran out on 4 of them when the DPO and his men on a tip-off stormed their hideout and got them arrested, while the other 4 escaped. The remains of the deceased officer had been deposited at the General Hospital Ota Mortuary. The Command's Commissioner Edward Awolowo Ajogun, who described the incident as barbaric and an act of lawlessness, has ordered a massive manhunt for the remaining suspects. Ajogun also warned that unwarranted attacks on his men remain unacceptable and will not be tolerated. He directed that the arrested suspects be transferred to the homicide section of the State Criminal Investigation and Intelligence Department for in-depth investigation and diligent prosecution. This is where we wrap it up on today's edition. Do join us for another interesting package next week, same time on this channel. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel to always get updates of our weekly edition of Kogi in Focus. Our appreciation goes to Kogi Flame Media Outfit for their updates on Kogi issues. Until I come your way, please do continue to do to others what you want them to do to you. I am Khadijat Mohammed. Goodbye.